Great. Welcome to Digital Asset News. My name is Rob. Today we got a lot of things to go over. First of all, the big story is this. The market is just taking a big tank, and we can just see that because I know that you look at your portfolio. So we're going to take a look at what exactly happened, and is this the beginning of the end for crypto? It sounds kind of laughable, but I think we're in for some major pain moving forward. Also, I'm going to bring in an expert to talk about what potentially is happening right now, what is going to happen in the short to near term, and hopefully what's going to happen in the future for the long-term outlook. And then, of course, we'll do a little Q&A. So let's just jump into it because we all got time is not on our side. First of all, I want to make mention of this. Puerto Rico needs you. And as you know, I live in Puerto Rico, but I vacation in Texas, still vacationing here, taking care of some things as far as the businesses go. And I will just tell you this, and that is that there is a lot of heavy rainfall, even though it's a Category 1. Look at these images. Amazing. This is a bridge getting swept away, I think, in the southern part of Puerto Rico. And it's just going away like it's absolutely nothing. And that's just one area. So even though Maria came in 2017, now we have Fiona. There are roads that are just flooded. There are people that are being rescued. There are a lot of issues. And of course, there is no power, or the power is getting turned back on intermittently. And there's a lot of problems with just the things that are going on because of this disaster that is hurricane. Look at that. No roof whatsoever. Gone. And off we go. And then the question then is, well, what do you do? Well, you know, it's a problem to feel helpless. But there are some things you can do. This is from Ana Maria. She has a lot of documentaries on Puerto Rico, and she goes, Puerto Rico never recovered from the devastation of Hurricane Maria in 2017. Now the island is completely flooded without electricity. Again, do not donate to the Red Cross or FEMA. Send support to trusted local organizations. And of course, you can take a look at Charity Watchdogs and take a look at how good Red Cross or FEMA does. That's not the point. The point is getting it into the hands of the people that need it immediately. So there's a link in the description, and you can find Ana Maria's 5 top ones. One of those is Taller Salud, mutual aid, currently coordinating hurricane relief. You can donate via PayPal. It doesn't have to be your life savings. $5-10 goes a long way, and a couple other ones. Me personally, I will be reaching out again to protechos, just like we took a look at the video. People are losing their roofs, and if you don't have the roof and you have no shelter, it's a very difficult life. And these brave people, they come out there and they reconstruct roofs, and they do it for free. Also, what's great about protechos is that you can donate via your MetaMask wallet. The link's in the description. You just click on Donate Now. It connects, and you can send whatever you want to do. $5 USDC, Tether, Ethereum, anything that's ERC20. You can use the Binance Smart Chain. You can do whatever you want to. It's just whatever you can do, and it's greatly appreciated. So that is that first part, and hopefully we can help everybody out. So next up, what the heck happened to the market? It just seemed like it dropped off a cliff. So I couldn't sleep last night. And here I was rolling over in bed looking at the charts or the price action. And Bitcoin, I honestly thought it was going to go below 18,000. Dropped 8%. Ethereum, almost 12%. Tether USD coin, no one cares. Binance coin, down 8%. Everything across the board. And you can see that the market cap, we are teetering on 950 billion. I think it'll go lower. I think we've got some more long-term pain in the future. But like I said before, if you're here right now watching this video, you're not a tourist. You've already been hardened. You already know what time it is. The question is how much can you take? And that we can take a look at as far as the longs and shorts. This is a great website, coinglass.com. Links in the description. We can see that over the last 24 hours, we've had, as far as longs and short getting liquidated, you're looking at 200, 230, 500, almost $600 million in longs and shorts. So if that's your game, that's not my play. But these days, like today, it's one of those things where it's very depressing to see all these people get liquidated. But it is what it is, and they understand the risks, right? And then, of course, a friend of the show, Jim Cramer, likes to pile on, like we can see him right here. And I just want to tell you this before I even go into this, and that is that nothing ever changes. Nothing ever changes. It's like when the price drops, everybody wants to pile on and talk about how bad it is. When the price goes up, everyone wants to tell you that, oh, you know what, I invested 3 years ago and I've been holding the whole time. Jim Cramer was one of those guys that does the same thing. And all of a sudden, he gets in Ethereum and Bitcoin. He's a genius in the bull market. And all of a sudden, as everything goes down, I sold it all months ago, just didn't tell anybody. So again, like when I take a look at these things, just remember, when they say it's different, this time is not different. It just happens over and over and over again. It's a great book. This time is different from Reinhardt, a couple of economists. You can take it out, take a look at it. Links in the description as well. And I just see like these types of things as what Jim Cramer is about to say to us right here as just more par for the course. So I'm going to real quick, I'm going to share my tab so you can hear it. This is also from a friend of the show, Jungle Link, who tweeted this out. What's up, Jingle? Jingle. Take a listen. It's 11 seconds.
You know what? I'm going to use it for ransomware. It can't be traced. I can't think of anyone else, David, who uses it in common currency except for the kidnappers, the money kidnappers. You know what?
That's it. Just remember that. Just remember that phrase in 2 or 3 years when Jim Cramer is talking about how great Bitcoin is and how it's going to the moon and how he was buying it forever. And from there, the reason I share these types of things is because you're going to hear this same issue coming about as people ask you and say, "What's up with Bitcoin?" Because I hear all the negativity. Just say, you know what? You don't like the price, just stick around. It'll change. And it really just depends on how long you want to be. All right. So then lastly, some other problems. Investor Stanley Druckenmiller warns there's a high probability of the stock market being flat for a decade. So it's amazing. The bear market comes, everybody just piles on. And Druckenmiller is no different. He states this: there's a high probability in my mind that the market at best is going to be kind of flat for 10 years, sort of like the 66 to 82 time period. Before we get into that, I had to ask myself, I wonder how far back, I mean, when he's talking about the market, I'm just saying maybe Standard & Poor 500, the S&P 500, which I think it was created to the present standard in 1958, 57, somewhere around there. When I take a look at what he's talking about, as far as like the 60s to the 80s, I took a look and I'm like, it's not that bad, quite honestly. If we take a look here in 1960, 545, and then all the way up here to a peak in 1969, 68. Then, of course, it slumps off. I think it's just kind of like the same type of bull and bear market. But, I mean, maybe I'm misinterpreting this. Let me know how off I am in the comment sections. He says, one key change is the reversal of globalization that drove high productivity, contribution to disinflation. Central banks also adopted generally loose monetary policies since 2008. Federal Reserve has implemented 4 interest rate hikes, and there's another big one coming, I believe this week, as a matter of fact, 20th or 21st. My money's on 100 basis points. A lot of people say 75, but I think they're going to go pretty ballsy. Gains in the bullish stock market since 82, which went into hyperdrive in the last decade, will likely taper off. Druckenmiller is also a former lead portfolio manager for George Soros Quantum Fund. Wyckoff accumulation. Stock markets tend to fall when interest rates rise. All right, so it's good to know. So with all these things that are going on, you probably think to yourself, that's the worst thing of all time. I want to just point out a couple of things. First of all, be like Bruce Lee. Staying calm is a superpower. And I know right now, if you're an old school, like myself and my special guest who's coming up in a second, this is not a big deal. These are not big swings. We were kind of used to this, ice in the veins, those type of things. If you're having problems right now with wrapping your head around it and us not being phased at 10, 20, 30% drops, I need you to go to this website. It's called dailystoic.com. It's 100% free. You can sign up for a daily email, and it's going to send you some great pieces of information every single day to keep you mentally focused. Again, the great Stoics, Greeks, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Maximus, all the ones that can give you some really great advice from thousands of years ago will be right to your email inbox. No, I don't have an affiliation with them, just that what I use to keep me insane or keep me sane as time goes on. And then lastly, I will just say this. If you think that your risk tolerance is low, there's a great book from Tim Ferriss, Tools of Titans. And his financial advisor asked him one time, and there was a story in the book. It says, "What's your risk tolerance?" And Tim said, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And he tried to explain it to him. And Tim asked him and said, "Well, what's a normal risk tolerance for your normal clients?" And he said, "Well, my normal clients tell me that 20% in a quarter, a 20% loss in a quarter is their risk tolerance. Think about that. 20% in a quarter, 3 months. We get that on a Thursday. And then he asked him this. He said, okay, well, that's what they say. What do they really do after your 30 years in the business? And he said, about 5%. 5% risk tolerance. So yeah, it seems kind of bad today, but don't worry. There's a long-term outlook. And that would lead me to my next piece, which is, let me bring in somebody who can kind of make sense of what's going on. If you don't know this gentleman, it is CTO LARSSON. There he is in all his glory. And he had a great video this morning, talks about TA, Bitcoin, BNB, XRP, TA, which I really don't get too much into. And I want to bring him on just so he could talk. And this is live right now. So let me bring my man in. CTO, what's going on, buddy?
Greetings from Stockholm, Sweden. It's got an evening here since the previous video. And yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. So I watched the video. It was funny because like we reached out like a week ago or something like that. I comment on a random video, which I do with a lot of YouTubers, and I said, hey, why don't we get together because we haven't done it in a long time. He said, sure. We didn't know today was going to be one of those crappy days, but here we are. So.
Exactly, and I really liked what you said there, and especially the Bruce Lee quote. And I think one way to stay calm is what we talked about before we went live here, that to count our blessings, because looking at the devastation happening in Puerto Rico, and here we're sitting, and you know our biggest problem really is that some of our coins have gone down a little bit. Okay,
it's true. That's a good way to look at it.
And I think that it's not just some weird mindfulness thing, but as we also talked about, a lot of people, they're gonna disappear through this boredom, through this downturn, the boredom that will follow, and they will miss the next time it really turns up. And a way to really stay in the game, because that's what it is, we need to stay in the game. There's a lot of tactics can do that, but one way is really to you know, focus on the blessings, focus on the good things in life, and you know, walk up with a smile. I think that the bear market is very exciting in many ways. I'll come to why, but I really think so. I think it's a maybe better opportunity in many ways than if we just had you know, stayed flat or continued. For example, I think it will lead to an increase in quality. A lot of the noise, the poor projects and so on, they're going to disappear by themselves. We don't need any regulator to do it. It's going to happen by itself.
Thank God.
And I think a lot of the, I don't know, bull market genius advice that has been floating around on, you know, CNBC or, you know, whatever channels, is also going to change. And either they will, you know, flip, now they're all doomsday instead and so on. But I think that I think quality will improve in this whole industry and analysis and everything, I think, for example.
No. Yeah, I was going to say, before we go on, I was going to say like this. It's the same thing I've been touting here, is pay attention to the projects that are building in the bear market. If they can make it in the bear market, not when there's a flush money and everybody's excited and they can pull their money into the dumbest projects of all time, but the ones that are building and are making it, pay attention to those ones right now, because in the bull market, those are the ones that will 10x, 50x, 100x, because they've done all the hard work. They've laid the foundation. Now they can actually scale. All right,
exactly. And we get the chance to buy them cheaper.
Well, today's one of those days, baby. It is.
Well. So I think that there's a lot of, I mean, the trap here is to give up along the way. And then when the reversal finally comes, there's not going to be so many around. That's a fact. We've seen that in all the previous cycles. And it's going to happen again. It's not different this time. It's going to be the same this time. And I think that's really the only thing that matters, because when it turns around, the people still around, we're going to see it. We're going to be, you know, on it.
You know, hey, that leads me to a question before we get into to charts and things like that. I want to do a series on, because we always talk on, a lot of channels will tell you the same thing. Dollar cost average, just keep buying. Diamond hands, which is dumb. But I want to do a series on the selling part, because we all talk about, you know, the buying, but we got to really get that selling part in. I got a video coming out on this weekend, you know, things to look at as far as like cycle tops and some of that. But if you could do a little series of like, hey, this is what I look at for when I want to sell, and go from there. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. When long time ago when I started, I'm an engineer, right? I came from the technical side. I'm not a finance guy. I didn't know anything about investing. And when I started learning, that's exactly what one person explained to me. Like the buying part is easy. Everyone can do that. But the selling part is hard. It's really, really hard because you've seen your life change, or your self-identity change maybe with something that has gone up a lot. And are you just gonna, sell that and walk away? That's very difficult. It's very difficult. And it is really key to have some sort of methodology to handle this, because if we only rely on emotions, it's almost impossible. No one can really do it, because everyone, me included, you, everyone else, we're going to be the most euphoric at the top and feel like, oh, wow, now it's really going to the moon here. And then we're going to be super depressed on the day that is the bottom. On the day that is the bottom, that's when there is no bulls left. We go to Twitter, and you, me, and everyone else, we're convinced it's going to go lower.
Yeah.
And then we've already sold. Everyone who have sold have already sold. And that's actually the bottom. That's when, the last bull has capitulated and given up. That is the bottom. That's when it's going to turn. So if we only rely on our emotions, we're going to consistently do the opposite, what is actually right. It sounds easy to buy low and sell high, but in fact, it's very difficult because our emotions make us do the other way around. And that's just a fact.
Yeah, that's a fact. There was a story, I think, in Tool of Titans, and they talked about a gentleman who started up his own catering business, and it became like a multi-million-dollar phenomenon because he franchised across the way. And his mom was in it with him, and she said to him, "Make sure that the plan that you have now for whatever you do is what you stick to, because this is the most sanest time that you'll ever have. When everything gets crazy, that'll go out the window. So make sure you have a plan in action now, so we can go further." So that would lead me to the point of, let's take a look at some charts, my man. What do we got, and where should we be going?
Absolutely. Let's do that. So let me switch here. So what we're looking at here is Bitcoin versus US dollar. And what really happened the past, if we just look at this psychology that we just talked about, if we're thinking back from, say, July until mid-August, we were all getting pretty optimistic. It felt like this is going to go somewhere. Maybe the bear market is over. Then it wasn't. It went down. Then only a couple of days ago, like last week, it started feeling optimistic again. And feeling, maybe we're, are we foamy? Did we sell too early? Are we missing the train? Should we buy back? And so on. But that was actually the turning point. That was the resistance. And now when it has dumped again, we will feel depressed. We feel sad. Oh no, it has gone down. Maybe, we should have sold more. Why? Maybe today is the day to sell. But actually it isn't. I would argue that no matter what methodology or process, this is not the point to sell where we are exactly now. Because if you look here, price has bounced on this support level 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, and now for a 7th time. Maybe it holds the 7th time also. This is what support means. It just means that it's a level where there has been buying interest. And if it held 7 times, maybe it breaks the 8th time, or maybe it bounces again. So the point generally to sell is not after the dump where it bounces on a support. I think no matter what the principle, or there's a lot of good methodologies, but no matter what the principle, that is really not the place. The place would be to sell, for example, at the hit on the resistance, which was then last week, or if using different methodologies, it was way earlier. And if looking for what will happen from here, if this breaks down, if this support level here at 18,600, if that doesn't hold and this actually breaks down and closes somewhere here below 18,000, well, then it's bad, because then this construction here has become a head and shoulders. Here is a left shoulder, here is a head
and shoulder,
right shoulder, and this is not new. Goes back to 1930s, and it just means that people are, they were optimistic once. It felt like it might go up here, but then the second try, it didn't go as far, and then steam has run out, price can't hold, and we continue down. So that's a head and shoulders pattern, and that means then that then if that happens, it might well continue down already from here.
What's the worst?
Not. It hasn't happened yet. It hasn't broken down yet. So who knows? Maybe it bounces again. Maybe we go up here again. And if looking to get out, it would be at some other resistance point then. But then there's another aspect, and that is that it's not really Bitcoin that is driving itself. The price action that has been lately, it's just a function of what's happening in the other markets. If overlaying this with, for example, the dollar strength index or dollar currency index inversed, we see it very clearly. You can see here that Bitcoin is basically just the inverse of the dollar strength. So if dollar is stronger, Bitcoin gets weaker. If dollar gets weaker, Bitcoin gets stronger. So it's not really what will determine where this goes from here. Isn't really anything that's happening in the crypto markets. I think it will be determined what happens with the macro markets, with the dollar strength, and that's what will determine what the next step is from here. But what the charts can do and what TA can do, it can kind of help to manage the risk and help to not end up doing the consistently the other way around, to sell low and buy high, which otherwise become like kind of the emotional default response. And that's really what it's useful for, I think.
Sell low, buy high. That's the mantra when I first got in. It seemed like that's all I could do.
Absolutely, and kind of everyone go through that phase almost, because our emotions do lead us wrong.
Yeah, this is all true. So before we go on, my man, I got to ask. So like I always ask this when people come on, which is like for you as a trader, like what kind of trader are you? Are you a long-term person or a short-term person? I think it's kind of like this. Are you a scalper, day trader, swing trader, position trader, something like that? Yeah.
So I would, in this chart here, I would be a position trader then.
Yeah. But
I take a couple of actions per year, typically in a asset like Bitcoin.
Gotcha. And then is it all just like that? Or is there do you have two types of bags, like a long-term bag and then like a bag that you play around with? Or it's all just, hey, I'm just trading here all day long?
No, I also have a long-term Bitcoin bag. I have no indication that is better. On the contrary, I don't think it is. But I like it. I like having some Bitcoin. I don't want to wake up one day and have no Bitcoin. I don't want that. I don't want to be that person. Someone asked me, do you have any Bitcoin? Then I don't want to say, no, I haven't any, because I think it will go down in price. So I do have some long-term position that I'm fine that it goes to almost zero. And then, but the majority I do try to time the market. And but I think it's important that all those strategies you show there, they're all fine. They're all good strategies. I think the key here is to have a methodology, and then we can all argue which one is the better one. Like when I was a kid, I was playing table tennis.
Yeah.
We had a Swedish very good table tennis player, J.O. Wallner, and he inspired a lot of kids to play table tennis. And I was a backhand player. Means you play like the backhand. And my friend, he was a foreground player. And we always argued, I was arguing my backhand player is the better way. He was always arguing that the foreground player is better. But that doesn't take away from our friendship, or it doesn't take away from our love for table tennis. It's just different tactics, and they're both fine. They're both good strategies. And I feel that it's important now in the kind of bear market that we kind of stick together, because it's very easy to start arguing about some little detail, like is hodl better, and I'm saying no, but I think it's better to buy and sell. Someone else is saying no, that's wrong, we should do DCA, and so on. We can argue about all those things. It doesn't and it's fun to discuss and talk about it, but that doesn't need to take away from our love for this industry, or our love for Bitcoin, or our love for each other. And I think it's important to keep that aside, because we do share the belief that Bitcoin and crypto is doing something good, that it's making, I don't know, financial systems more open and more inclusive, just like I believe that the internet and the phone made information and communication inclusive for all, and while it used to be something very restrictive. And then that we all agree on. But then we have this other side, which is different from the internet and the phone and so on, and that is that you couldn't invest in TCP/IP, or you couldn't invest in the GSM protocol as such. You had to invest in the companies. But in blockchain, you can invest in the specific protocol, and you can buy and sell, which means that it's very easy to get stuck in like some detail, really. Is this blockchain project the best, or is that blockchain project the best? Is this trading methodology the best, or is that trading methodology the best? And I mean, I feel that is really, it's like forehand versus backhand player. And I feel that now that market is down, regulators are going to use this chance to try to hit where they feel that this, need to be restricted. And it's important that we don't let these tiny differences take over. We need to, I don't know, instead organize ourselves better, be even tighter, even, more friends to each other. And I feel that that's what this industry need, probably through this bear market.
This is the truth. I mean, I don't know if you've been on Twitter anytime lately, but I will tell you this like this. No, there is no love lost between a lot of the different factions that are crypto. If you're big into Bitcoin, boy, sometimes you hate Ethereum. And if you love Ethereum, boy, you hate Cardano. And if you like Cardano, well, everybody's against you when you love Cardano. But I mean, really just remember this, that for all the things that we talk about, how great it is, we're all trying to go for this future of decentralization and to do a lot of change for the good of the world a little bit more. And just remember, no matter what you believe in and what kind of crypto project you have, it's really us against this guy and guys like this guy who are like, it's only used for kidnapping, for illicit activities, and we don't understand why anybody uses it. It doesn't make any sense. Look, it's the same thing again and again and again, and it just never changes. So, so the goal today is, well, first of all, everybody's got two goals. First of all, if you could do so much as far as like donate to the problems that are going on into Puerto Rico, that'd be fantastic. Link in the description. And the next goal is just try to, as people are talking or commenting in Twitter, even I get a little ticked off, especially on the different things, but just try to hear people's opinions and just realize that we're all under a pretty big umbrella, which is crypto. And sometimes just people just need a little nudge to get to the right place. All right.
Exactly. And I thought to share one more thing that could be interesting potentially about this flat comment about it will be flat for 10 years.
Right.
I don't think so. Actually, I understand exactly what he means, but if I can share, if we look back a little bit, and I'm not sure that the best analogies are back to the 1960s. If we stick to, I don't know, the 80s and forward, which is still pretty long ago, from the top to the bottom is not 10 years. That has, I think, never happened. And it's much shorter than that. So from the top, say the .com crash, which is maybe the most similar one, or the financial crisis crash. It is not that. It is, here is from March 2000 to September 2002. So that's 2.5 years. In the financial crisis, October 2007 to March 2009. What is that? That's one, that's less than 2 years.
Yeah.
If we go to say Dow Jones, let's look a little bit further then. Let's look at, yeah, maybe we don't. Let's look here in the 80s then. So 87, this was very short. So
Oh yeah, look at that.
I understand what he mean. He kind of mean that if you look from the point where it was the top until the next top, that is pretty long. Here it was 6 years, but we don't need to buy the top. That's
Yeah.
the point. We don't need to buy the top and then hold all the way down, and then wait for that to come back. That's not a good strategy by any methodology.
No.
Either you get in at the beginning of the trend or something, or you try to get in at the range bottom or something like that. You're not going to buy the top, hold down, and then wait for it to go back. That would not be a good tactic. So if the top has already happened and we're waiting for the bottom to come in, we're already some distance on that journey. And who knows how long it will be this time, but I don't think there's any indication that that will be 10 years, not in any of the previous bottoms.
Yeah, it's interesting though to think about it like, oh, it's going to be 10 years and flat and no gains whatsoever. I think that's when you see it, you're like, that's what it is. But if you really dig down to it, there's opportunities everywhere. But I mean, the big thing is, of course, does that mean that we don't hit our tops for 10 years if crypto, the market itself? Some people would say, well, you got to put your money somewhere. So
I think crypto moves much faster than the stock market. It will be wilder down, wilder up, faster. And this can actually be quantified, and it moves an order of magnitude faster. So it's approximately 10 times faster, between 7 and 10 times faster. Like the booms and bust cycles of crypto is a order of magnitude faster than the boom and bust cycles in companies or the market as a whole. And I think that makes sense. I mean, a company is more slow moving. They have maybe offices, they have employees, they have physical products. It moves slower. In crypto, everything is software, everything is open source, everything is 24/7. So of course that whole industry moves faster. The time from creation until the peak and until maybe it fails, that time is compressed a factor 10 compared to, say, a tech company with offices and tools and employees and patents and banks and all things that kind of make it slower.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like you can have a project that just from out of nowhere, all of a sudden it's got a couple $100 million in revenue.
Exactly.
Or market cap, and you're like, where did that come from? Just happened.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to change. I think that it will go faster. It will go faster down, wilder down, but then it will go faster back up also than the economy as a whole. And because there is some fundamental advantage here, which maybe was it Jim Cramer, the kind of
Jim Cramer
talk about that. Who would ever use this? Yeah, basically everyone, because it is cheaper, it is faster, it is better, it works in the whole world, and it's basically an economic system that works on the internet. So at the end of the day, everyone's going to use it. And of course, I think every new technology can always find that, but some criminal, look, they used it. Criminal...
remember the internet? And the internet in the heyday, it was all just for scammers and the darkest of people and the most worst things you possibly do. No one's ever going to use it. Here we are.
Exactly. It's only bad. I mean, honest people don't need to use the internet.
Yeah, and even talking about faster and cheaper than that, we talked yesterday about FedNow, that project going on, and CBDCs. Look, it's a free market, and just let the people decide exactly which ones are the best ones. I was actually in support of CBDCs because if once they start to roll out, people are like, wow, maybe there's a part of here I don't really like. Well, it's a good thing I have an alternate option called crypto and digital assets, because before 2009, that wasn't around. So, CTO, what did we miss before we get into Q&A?
I agree with you. I think what I would like more clarity and regulation, for example.
Oh, finally,
And
someone says it.
I think that will facilitate more businesses to adopt it, who kind of now think also that Bitcoin and crypto is some small, weird, scammy thing. While if it's clear, if they're regulated, this is how you can use it and so on, I think more would use it, because there are actual technical advantages. And that will come.
I think so. All right. So guys, as a reminder, there was a really good video that CTO put out. Just this, I want to say this morning, because I caught it really early. This was, when did you put it this morning? Okay. And he goes over, I mean, the TA as far as Bitcoin, ETH, BNB, XRP, ADA, Celsius, and Solana. So check that video out. Links in the description. And that will do it for right now. So CTO, you got time to stick around for a little Q&A?
Absolutely.
Let's do it. So everybody, that concludes the part of the news. So if you got to take off, take off. You've been here for 35 minutes. We appreciate you guys stopping by, spending some time with us. Really, thank you. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. Not that YouTube's going to notify you anyhow, but if you like to, go right ahead. And that's it for today. So thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. Now let's jump into a little Q&A as me and CTO Larsson answer all your burning questions to the best of our abilities right now. All right. So let's see. I started a couple. Tommy, shout out to the beautiful people in the Dan fam. The ones that have all the wrenches. That's the truth. Thanks, everybody. And if you're here now, you don't have to have a wrench. I'll just start giving them out later again. Is this the beginning? It has begun over 6 months now.